See, we do our best to make it simple. And you may be saying, your best isn't good enough. Okay, so once more, we're in computer skills class. My name, of course, is Harry Whiting, and yours isn't. After a short hiatus here, so short you can't believe it. All right. Where are we? This is the 26th. Mr. Shanina has checked in. Mr. Chi is checked in. Mr. Donna, he is checked in. And Brandon, right? Adrian, I'm sorry. Your mask looks so much like his, I can't tell the difference. Okay, that's actually a terrible excuse. All right. So today, what I want to do is go through another aspect of using Word, which is we're going to, pardon me, I was up a lot of the night with gastric distress. And whenever my throat gets raw, I start coughing. Now, did you guys do this on purpose? Because, oh, wait, I'm lying. I thought everybody was in alphabetical order on the roll sheet, but it turns out Mr. Nez is an outsider, so to speak. All right. So here we are. Go ahead and pull up Word. And as usual, we want to make sure we put in a header, Harry S. Whiting 2. You know, it corrects automatically when I put 2 capital letters in a row, like I did when I was typing this for Harry, but it doesn't correct if Whiting isn't capitalized. What's up with that?
It's a common name, or a common,
Well, Whiting can be
like an author.
a fish or a kind of chalk.
Oh,
So maybe it thinks I'm a kind of chalk or something. I don't know what to tell you. Let's call this quiz number 3. And our date is, 8/26/2020. What a lucky date that is. All right, what I want to do today is to go through what we have to do to create an announcement. Right, so for example, pardon me a moment, I forgot my example.
Mr. Whiting, can you
One thing about announcements,
The people online want to know if you can share your screen with them.
oh, yes, of course. What a mistake on my part. And thank you guys for reminding me of that. I have had classes before where the students couldn't see the screen, and for like 20, 30 minutes, they didn't say anything. What is that?
Smart kids.
All right, so I'm, guys online, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to show these guys something in purpose, in person. I don't know how to show you. All right, so this is an announcement that I took off one of the bulletin boards here. Does anybody see a problem with it?
This was last year.
Okay, but kind of in the text, the explanation,
Booger.
Spilling.
Oh, yeah.
exactly. It's a booger sale, not a burger sale. Okay, not a good way to run a railroad. Now, this is the kind of thing that is super, super easy to miss, and put up an announcement, and all of a sudden, you have people walking up, well, I'd like one of those buggers. Well, or not going because they say, a bugger? Oh, no way, man. So we want to be really careful in how we explain and how we advertise events, right? So, for example, one thing that I've been trying to do is talk back and forth with my people in the engineering club about how do we have some kind of engineering club event when we've got to wear masks and social distance. I mean, we can't be like selling burgers, specifically burgers, not buggers. In this time period, you know, how do we have some kind of event? How do we get membership in the engineering club is a big question that we're wrestling with right now. And if any of y'all have ideas, feel free to shout them out here in the meeting, or tell me later if you're too embarrassed to shout out.
Do bingo online like everybody else is doing.
Well, are the other clubs having meetings online?
I don't know. I have no idea. I just see a lot of people doing bingo and raising money like that on Facebook.
You know what? I am willing to give that a shot. But right now, you know, I'm just kind of like, what do we do? How can?
Are you trying to create revenue so you can do something with the club?
Actually, we have some revenue because we have money that we were going to use to pay for the engineering banquet last spring. But of course, the school shut down in-person activities because of COVID. So it's not as much fundraising that I'm worried about as how do we create something for the students to be able to meet each other, talk to each other, create friendships.
You can
Uh,
do Google Groups.
Google group, well, we don't have time for searching on the internet right now.
You don't have time.
No, I'm kidding you, Victoria, I'm sorry. We, it could be done that way, some kind
Create a
of
web
Google,
page.
Google group, Google Meet.
Yeah. Create a web page specifically for that.
Something like that. That's the thing. There are always ways to deal with these things. But a lot of times people get frozen into one approach, one thing, and they don't explore options. All right, so anyway, today we're going to create an announcement, okay? And so I'm going to create an announcement for a birthday party for me. Okay, well, actually my birthday is next spring, but we won't have this class next spring. All right, so I have gone over and done a centered justification. Right, and what? How can I then put a title on this? I could say birthday party for Harry Whiting. I could say celebrate Harry's birthday. Right? What are some other ways that I could headline this? Of course, usually celebrate doesn't have a Z in it, except in Slovakian. Okay, I'm lying. I don't speak any Slovakian. In fact, I only know 8 words of Polish. That's the only Slavic language I really know anything about.
Which are English.
English is a Germanic language, though.
I'm thinking like Polish sausage, Polish chicken.
Okay, kielbasa, 9 words. 9 words in Polish now. Kielbasa.
They call it kobasi.
I'm sorry?
They call it kobasi. Instead of saying kielbasa, I met a bunch of Polish people when I lived in Philadelphia, and they call it kobasi. They never call it kielbasa. I don't know why.
I don't know either. I found Poland to be a very unusual place when I was there for about 5 weeks with the ice show. But I did learn some bad words and how to say hello. All right. Now, ordinarily, I would say always stick to an easy to read font with good contrast, like this black on white. But in this case, I might fish around in the fonts and find something a little more interesting, like this is Algerian, right? Still pretty easy to read, but it's got a little bit more kick to it. I might come down here, Bondschrift. That's interesting. There seems to be a bunch of those. Bauhaus, 2 non-serifi for me. Britannic bold, brush script. That seems kind of an interesting one. Okay, so I'm just going to settle on that for now. All right, now, because it's kind of a birthday celebration, a birthday announcement, I might look and say, what would be a good color for that? Gray? No, that's terrible. Where this isn't my funeral. How about a red, comrade? Red, now I can, when I'm looking for colors, I can go here to more colors and oh my God, it gives me a million colors. I could go for something that's a bit red but darker, more of a brick color. I could go with kind of a deep blue, saturated blue, a purple, green or yellow. I probably wouldn't go with green because I don't like it. Yellow because it's not going to show up very well. See? Yellow, hard to read. Right? And even though it's kind of a fun birthday announcement thing, being able to read your announcement is always going to be important. So I'm actually going to go with red, which is super easy because that's the default setting for letter color here. All right, now one thing that you may not realize is it's set on 12-point font right now. I have it super, super blown up, so it looks like it's much bigger. Right, but really it's in 12-point font. So probably for my headline, I'm going to want something larger. And I can either come here and do the click down list to choose the size that I think would be good, or I can just go over here and there's an A with an up arrow and an A with a down arrow. The up arrow one means make it larger. And of course the down arrow one means make it small. All right, so that's 26-point font, that's pretty good. All right, so, all right, and I'm going to click on normal here in my headings, as you remember from last Monday's excitement. All right. So, what are the important things that we have to say when we announce something?
The date, the time, place.
Location.
Location? I'm sorry, ladies, I didn't hear what either one of you said.
Date, time, place.
Date, time, place, exactly. Right, so it's a lot of that who, when, where, why,
What?
how that journalists have to use. Okay, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to center, and you know what? I think this needs a picture. And as it happens, that's pretty easy because I uploaded pictures of myself this morning in anticipation of this very
special day.
So, and that's not what I want, it's, all right, let's eject my flash drive before I kick it and break it. And then go to Documents and Computer Skills. All right, what happened? It didn't transfer over the pictures from this flash drive. It transferred the pictures that were on the other flash drive. Well, that's okay, I can work with that. All right, so I open up the folder that has the pictures from my 50th birthday, right? And I can look and I can say, okay, Harry and Teddy Bear, a bit more, how shall I say, juvenile than I want. So let's take that one out, and instead I'll insert there we go. Harry as a cowboy with a giant size hat. All right, but you'll notice, man, there's a lot of extra space here, and so let's go ahead and hit crop. And somewhat cut it down so that it's just featuring me with giant size hat. I don't know when they decided that washing the windows became a large part of the cleanliness of this building. All right, so I've got it cropped down to a smaller picture, and I'm just going to click off of it, see, and it's now I might say to myself, you know what? Where is the bottom on this? Oh, there it is. I might say, yeah, that's a good size for it. Or I might say, you know what, I want to shrink it, I want to make it a bit bigger, whatever, right? And we've gone over how to do that by either making it smaller or larger at the corner. All right, but of course I've done that, now I can't find my cursor. And I'm cursing at not being able to find my cursor. There we go. Inserting pictures in the text is always challenging for me. Sometimes I'll have a thing where the text starts crowding the picture onto the next page, or I'll have a thing where text tries to go under the picture. It's an exciting time. All right, so I'm going to go down to the next line. Right, I'm back to Times New Roman. I'm okay with that, but I want the font to be larger. So once again, I'm going to click on the A until it's size 20. right? Again, I could have just done the drop down and put it where I wanted. All right, and you can actually set it for any size you want. Right? Back in the day when they were setting type, if I wanted, say, size 19 type, right here, I've just replaced 20 with 19. And now I'm talking about size 19 type. Well, of course, you're barely going to be able to tell the difference, if you can at all, between size 19 and size 20 font. All right. So, we need to put in the information about the party. So, when it's going to be on, oh bloody hell. All right, I don't want to fool with my phone to find out what would be a good date. What are the Saturdays in March? If somebody would look at that for me.
The 7th, the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th.
28th, my favorite all my life. All right, so March 28th. And since I'm doing this in 2020, I'm going to say 2021. Now, I can either go down here and say time 1400. Okay, what's the problem if I say time 1400?
Not everybody knows 1400.
Exactly. For those fans of military or European time, they'll be right with me. But the great majority of Americans are going to be scratching their heads saying, what the hell is that bald guy on about? Right, so instead, I either put 2 p.m. or I do that in parentheses after 1400. Now, y'all may have wondered, why did he even show us how to do 19-point font? Sometimes you get in a situation, you'll notice when we start to get up to the larger fonts, they're pretty far apart. And when I do these little inspirational aphorisms, I want them to be large enough for you to read, but they've all got to fit on one page, right? So sometimes 48 is too small and 72 is too big, and I'll say, all right, let's try 60 and see if everything fits then. Now, printers back in the day used to also use 96-point font and 108-point font. But they called those Second Coming of Christ fonts. All right, there we go. All right, we've got our date we've got our time, we've got our place. I'm not gonna be more specific than Harry's house. I'm not sure how much good it would do me here on the res, because depending on who you ask, my address is several different things. Right when it was rented to me, my landlord said, well, it's 18 Chandine Loop. Okay, well, that's great. But on the other hand, Continental Divide says it's 18 Sunnyside Place. If you, so, I mean, bloody hell, how do I deal with this? This is obviously a huge problem. Now, because I'm just saying Harry's house, I might put in a map, right? This is how you get to Harry's house. Right, so I might put in a whole map of Crown Point with a star on the location, something of this nature. Put balloons on a stick out front. We've all seen that old ploy, I'm sure. All right, now, what else would be missing from a specifically birthday type announcement? Or even a party in general announcement?
Would it be like, the type of, gifts the person might like? I
That
don't know.
is an excellent point. So I might say, no gifts needed,
BYOB.
or I might say, only gifts over $100. All right, no, you don't say that ordinarily. A BYOB is a good point. Even though nobody is supposed to drink alcohol on the reservation, there are thousands of bottles lying by the side of the road that seem to indicate something else. I'm not critical of the drinking as much as I am throwing the bottles out the window of the car. Although driving drunk, not a good thing. All right, let's go back to no gifts. All right, what else might we want to say about this?
Maybe RSVP?
RSVP. And no doubt you can tell me the words that correspond to those. It's actually French for respondez-vous, s'il vous plaît.
I didn't know that.
Or actually respondez, s'il vous plaît. Yes, otherwise it would be RVSVP. Well, I'm chock full of useless knowledge about French, even though when I went to France, I could barely do anything in the French language. That's 2.5 years of high school classes down the drain. Luckily, when I went to Germany, I did much better with the German I learned in high school. All right, so RSVP, but how do they do that?
With a phone number or contact.
Exactly, we have some kind of contact information. In this case, I'll put my email address. Right, and I can do all kinds of, things with this. For example, I might highlight all of these and justify left so that I have room to insert another picture. This picture, oh my God, I've got dark hair. Not much, but I've got some. Of me as a conehead, right? So I might crop that down. All right, so let's, I'm tempted to cut off some of my stomach here. In fact, you know what? I'm going to kind of cut this camera out. How about make this smaller? All right, now you'll notice we have the usual problem of it's not fitting in well, right? So maybe, oh, come on. There we go. Right, and you'll notice this little dialogue or this little symbol that showed up beside it. Where I can decide how I want this to fit in, right? So I can decide behind the text, kind of in front of the text, through the text, tight to the text, square with the text around it, or top and bottom. Let's try top and bottom. All right, that did not work well. So let's try behind. Yeah, that works pretty well. Although, you may notice I've got a problem now in that my email address may not be easy to read, right? And one of the things that we've always got to be careful of is make sure that your flyer or announcement is easy to read. All right. So, in fact, I will give it to these guys that they did a really good job in that respect. You could read everything, Even the part where it says bugger instead of burger. Um, um, And they did a good job of putting in the symbol for their club and pictures of food. So in almost every respect, this flyer was really well done. But as you saw, one little mistake becomes what everyone talks about. Okay, so I am going to hit the fixed position on page for this. And then, because I can't see the RSVP well, I'm going to go up to no gifts and hit the enter key to move RSVP down to make sure it can be read. All right, now I've still got not what I would call a lot of space at the bottom, but I've got some space at the bottom. So what could I do with that that would be exciting?
Space at the bottom. You can border it, you can add more pictures to it.
Okay, so Victoria gives us a couple of good suggestions. I could just come down here, oops. Okay. I need to decrease my font size to be able to do a border. So apparently I have to decrease it a lot more than that even. Right, you can see I've got a little bit of space here. Now what I could do is I could go to insert footer, and I could put in some kind of a footer. I could insert insert something. I could look, you see it says more footers from office.com. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and it, come on guys, that's all the footers you're going to give me? Right, I could do that, and then I would just have a line here. I wonder if I could change the format on that line. Right, but you can see that boy, that line does not look fantastic. I don't know, what is Austin? Besides the city of my birth. All right, again, not what I call a real world-beating, exciting in fact, I'm starting to think that Austin edit footer, show document text, quick parts, Oh, I can put in pictures. I can go and look around for online pictures. Although I noticed that over time, Microsoft is narrowing down the choices you can use. It used to be they had a lot of clip art and things that you could use. All right, but I'm just going to stop fooling with it, and I am going to decrease, and you'll notice that it's given me a band around everything. Which is kind of a nice way to set off a flyer. I mean, this guy, they have a little border around everything that helps set everything off a bit. All right, and down here we need to, there we go, get back to one page. That's one of the things when you create documents. Make sure you don't have an extra page hanging on that is just blank. And every time you print it, you're printing an extra page, right? And that can be really embarrassing if you're doing flyers like this and you print 25 flyers, but it comes out on 50 pages because you've got blank pages. Now, if you're a cheap bastard like me, you just put those pages back in the printer and run them through again later for something. But some people get upset about doing that. They're like, no, once it's been printed, once it's been through the printer, you can't put it back in the printer. Okay, whatever. All right, so that's how we would create a flyer. Now, obviously, this is very simplistic, right? Here, they went to a lot of trouble putting in different pictures, and they may have just done this right, because we could have done the same thing starting with PowerPoint. And in fact, in PowerPoint, to some extent, it would be easier because then we can move around all our little text boxes and do things so that it conforms to the shape of our picture like they have here. But we're not working with PowerPoint yet, so I didn't show you that way. All right, we've got about a half an hour left in the class. All right, so I am going to file that. I should have created my file name as soon as I started working on it. And I'm embarrassed to say I forgot. All right, so we're going to say this is the Harry's birthday flyer. Right, and that's the computer skills. Okay, guys, one thing I should tell you is in any of my classes, feel free to come up and look on this computer and look at anything that I've done for this class. And if you think it's really super helpful, go ahead and download it. to your flash drive. If you don't think it's super helpful, then don't bother. But no. But look, up here on this computer, everything that I keep here, I don't mind if the students see. I'm very careful that I don't have like, the instructor's manuals with the answers for my classes. I did accidentally once download that to the instructor's computer up here. And I was amazed that everybody got all the questions right for like the first 4 chapters before I realized what was going on. All right, so I am going to switch to a new blank document. Can you guys at home see this?
Yeah.
Okay. If Jonathan can see it, then the world must be able to see it. Or at least the ones that were able to tune into our Zoom meeting. So, I want to talk to you for a minute about the structure for a report. So, for example, ordinarily I would have a title. I might not want it to be quite so large as this. Like if it's a 2-page report and you have a giant title, your professor's going to think they're just trying to take up space. Right? So if you've got the 96-point font, that's too big. 26 is pretty large, but I'm going to go with it. So I'm going to put the title Important Report. All right. So on my important report, I hit return, it automatically returns to the normal, and I may want to leave a space, but I'm going to put, and I'm only going to do it in heading 2, maybe heading 3, yeah, that, because this report isn't going to be very long. So I'm going to just use heading 3 for my my headings. All right, so then I'm going to have an abstract. And sometimes we call that executive summary. Okay? So what this is this is a short summary of the report. Usually not more than 500 words. Okay, so so that's pretty easy. In fact, I'm gonna say, go ahead and put a header at the top with your name, the class, everything, and we'll just call this homework number 5. That's one of the great things in this class. Almost all homework and quizzes are done in class. So there's not a lot of labor once you go home. All right. The next portion is the introduction. And the introduction is the setup or explanation of why this report exists. Right? Even if you're in your English class, right? And they say, oh, you have to write a paper. Well, you're going to have an introduction. You probably won't have an abstract for an English paper, but you'll have an introduction. And introductions typically start off with some huge sweeping statement. In the history of this company, we have always worried about why, blah, 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 until we get down and we conclude with a thesis statement, which we set out to prove. All right, boy, you guys may notice I made a lot of grammatical errors in that one sentence. For example, we don't put IT all capitals unless we're talking about the information technology department. It concludes with a thesis statement. All right, well, of course, I've got my squiggly red underline. I can right click and it will give me either statement or statements as my possible. Right, so our thesis statement is going to be something we're going to prove or support in this report. So that's so good, I'm putting it in there. Okay, now you'll notice it gave me a blue squiggly underline on statement which, and it's going to tell me to put a comma after statement, right? So I go over, I right click, and you'll notice it gives me two choices. Make it statement comma which, or statement that. Okay, well, I always like to say which, so I click on the first one. Feel free to click on the other if you prefer that. Are y'all getting the squiggly lines?
No,
Are you making any grammar errors?
no.
Well, start making some. How can I teach you how to use the spell check? All right, let's go up here to review, and you'll notice way over on the left is spelling and grammar check. Okay, so click on that, and then it will tell you if you've got misspelled words or kind of some questionable grammar. Right, we want to be able to set up our computer so it is automatically spell checking us. I cannot tell you the frustration I feel when I get documents and it is obvious no one's even touched the spell check button, much less worried about their grammar. Now, part of that is because I come from a family where speaking correctly and writing correctly that was considered like super important. Right? You may have come from a family that had a bit more casual attitude about the whole thing. All right, so we've got that. So I'm going to hit enter. All right. So in a report, we're going to have different, it kind of depends on your school, your company, how we're going to go. So to give you some ideas, I am going to quickly, so quickly we can't believe it, try and sneak up on being able to, yeah, there we go. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. Death, where is thy sting? Okay. Report format. Okay, and let me go back to the Zoom meeting. Zoom, all right. No, that's not what I want. I want to, all right, there we go. And share screen, and okay, well, it's showing me this. I don't know, maybe it'll let me. Jonathan, can you see at home what I'm on here?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go with that then, right? So you'll notice right here, they give us a, they give us some ideas. Title section, summary, introduction, body, conclusion, recommendations, appendices. That is certainly something that a method that we might use. Often in our scientific reports, we will add some to this. Right, so we already did the title section, the summary, which we called an abstract, and the introduction. Okay, well, in the body, in a scientific report, usually we would do methodology. Right, and here, describe the equipment, experimental methods, and data gathering procedures. One thing that we often see in scientific reports or articles in peer-reviewed journals is, boy, when they describe their methodology, it is like super sketchy. That they don't really describe it enough to be able to reproduce their results. And that's a problem because any kind of science or engineering or technology has to be reproducible. But some people have used this as ways in which they kind of skate over some problems in how they did their experiments or their methods. All right. Then we might have a results. Oh. And I need to.
Can you show me the website again? Where you got the body confusion and all that?
Oh, all you have to do is put report format into your search engine, and it'll pop up all kinds of things.
Okay.
I mean, I just grabbed the very first thing that was there,
Okay.
and not, didn't do a rigorous search to say, oh, this is exactly the format
Okay.
I want, right? So if you ever have to write a report and you're not quite sure what to do,
Mhm.
just go on the web, look around a little and say, yeah, this kind of covers everything that I had to do.
Okay.
All right, so results. So this is going to be a description of the data, oops, not date, data obtained. And if any data is thrown out, we explain that here. Or possibly exfoliant in here. Guys, make a mistake every once in a while on purpose, and so you can thrown out. It doesn't like out. It considers that, oh, they want thrown out, comma. All right. Oh, now it doesn't like is thrown out. But I already know what that is. It's because it's passive voice. The thing is, a lot of times in these kind of reports, we use the passive voice describing it, right? But they like when you write to use active voice. But in academia and company reports, very often we're using passive voice. I'm sorry, word, get over it. All right. Now, also in this section, we may refer to appendices with the raw data. Right? So when we report results, we may be reporting the average, the standard deviation, the variance, kind of a very statistical summary of our data rather than putting every piece of data in unless it's very short. If it all fits in a little baby table that we can insert in our report, that's fine. But we may have a lot of data. When I worked at the Center for Automatic Identification at Ohio University, our data sets were 20,000 pieces of data. Well, you're not gonna just put that in the middle of your report, right? If you are gonna report it, you're gonna put it at the end in an appendix, excuse me. All right, so we've got the results, then we might have an analysis section. Right, and the analysis, we would describe the statistics or mathematics we used. Sometimes we would combine this with our conclusions. It would be analysis and conclusions. Or other methodology. All right, then we have our conclusions. Oh, need to go with heading 3 again. All right, so sometimes combined with analysis section, what did we learn from our experiment slash project, whatever it is, right? Because if we do a project, we're gonna have to have a report at the end and say, okay, well, we did the project, these are the things that we did. Our analysis, we expect efficiency to improve by 20%, or, you know, whatever it is. All right, so usually, oops, don't forget a period there, Harry.
Would it be a question mark?
No, it's a statement.
Okay.
All right, if you want a question mark, we'll go question mark on you. Right, then very often, we're gonna go ahead and do recommendations. Right, this can be further experimentation, or research to be done, actions to be taken, etc. Okay, and okay, again, it doesn't like that it's a passive voice. Get over it, you program. Okay, and we may also have appendices. And these are sections to include things like raw data, equipment manuals are sometimes calibration data for equipment. Right, so there can be all kinds of things, like for my master's degree project report, I had a ton of appendices. In fact, most of it was appendices of the diagrams of the simulation networks that I had put together, testing different ideas on how to make better fast food restaurants. Okay, and so at times we'll be combining some of this. For example, analysis may be combined with results section. You know, so part of it is going to be your company may have a format, and that format may be kind of informal. They say, look, we kind of want it to look like this. It may be so formal, they say, you have to have every one of these sections. You can only use Calibri 11-point font to write this. These headings have to be in such and such a font at such and such a size. Bloody hell. So anyway, did I spell calibration wrong? Oh, okay, and calibration, all right. Be like that. Now, one argument I have had with my PhD advisors is, how do you speak in a report? I try and speak in a very clear kind of prose, and I actually had one of my PhD advisors telling me, you need to be more academic. Your stuff is too easy to read. Too easy to read? What the hell are you talking about? You want me to deliberately make my my dissertation less clear? That don't sound right to me. But of course, since I was the student and he was the master, so to speak, I had to say, yes, professor, that's a good idea, doctor. So often the way. Well, one thing I would say, and this isn't really about using Word as such as much as it is about in business, put your ego aside. You know, sometimes it's real tempting. Your boss tells you something and you want to go, hey, listen, I went to college, I know how to do this. Put your ego aside. Your ego is not going to do you any good. And you want to think, you want more friends and allies and not to go around just pissing everyone off. Anyway, I've used up the class time here. Are there any questions before we disperse?
Did you say it was homework number 5?
Yes.
Okay. want us just to email it to you, or?
Yes, please. So save it with all the correct formatting on the file name and headers, so I know who you are and what class this is, because sometimes I get confused, and all that stuff. All right, are there any other questions? Those were good questions. If not, I'm gonna say, y'all have fun. It seems like it's a long way from the weekend, but please stay safe in everything you do. And when the fields are white with daisies, call it Monday, we'll meet again. We keep an eye on Moodle, because if I can get the librarian who's in charge right now to give me videos of how to use the library, then that may be Monday and Wednesday's classes, that you just tune in, watch those videos. Okay? All right, well, thanks a lot, guys. Any questions there at home?
Oh, I thought you were talking to them.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. I will talk to you guys soon. What happened? It's not letting me abandon ship here. All right, that's not the one I want. Yes, I want to leave the meeting. There we go. Oh. So, I guess, oh, pretty good. I guess sooner or later, I'll be considered a Zoom expert. Although, these guys already think I'm an Excel expert, and I learn something new every time I use it.
Me too.
All right. Oh, Jeff, where's my sting?